An old dispute is coming back to haunt a leading presidential campaign. It is a grudge by firefighters dating back to the 9/11 terror attacks against former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani. CNN's Mary Snow joins us live from New York with a story. Obviously, a lot of controversy here.
There is, Suzanne, and that old wound is being exposed by a new rift at issue. The nation's largest firefighters union is angry that Rudy Giuliani has declined an invitation to attend a forum with presidential candidates from both parties next Wednesday. Union members vowed to tell what they describe as the real story of Giuliani and 9/11.
Republican presidential candidate Rudy Giuliani, friend to the first responder. It's a familiar image on the campaign trail.
Hey, put your mask on.
Giuliani's candidacy has been largely defined by 9/11. But the International Association of Firefighters is vowing to expose what it describes as Giuliani's offensive and personal attack on firefighters following the September 11th attacks.
For this union, but more importantly, so many of our members, it's an act that will not be forgiven or forgotten.
It was November of 2001. Then Mayor Giuliani reduced the number of firefighters allowed to enter the pile at Ground Zero to recover remains, citing safety concerns.
We were given very, very strong advice several weeks ago that this site was a disaster waiting to happen.
Firefighters protested, saying they wanted to continue searching for the remains of their brethren. When firefighters tried to enter the pile, raw emotion spilled over. 15 firefighters were arrested.
The mayor, I believe, showed disrespect and understanding the importance of allowing us to continue with that recovery.
The IAFF is angry again, this time that Giuliani won't attend the union's upcoming forum, where presidential candidates make their case to members.
Now, Giuliani aide says Giuliani's schedule prevented him from attending next week's forum. The head of the group Firefighters for Rudy responded for the campaign, saying it was honored by the support of so many first responders. Suzanne?
When police officers began forcefully removing firefighters from the scene, a brawl ensued between the two departments. Quote, 5 police officers were injured during the protests. Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik said, adding that there could be more arrests. The 10 firefighters arraigned Saturday, including 3 union officials, were charged with the criminal trespassing. Some were also charged with obstructing governmental administration and harassment. Earlier charges of inciting a riot, a felony, were dropped, end quote.
Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani was invited to speak by a firefighters union with close to 300,000 members. He initially accepted the invitation, but then backed out.
The situation is that 2 airplanes have attacked, apparently.
Rudy Giuliani is often called America's mayor, lauded by many as a hero for his role after September 11th. But he doesn't have many friends in this room. Mayor Giuliani was invited to take part in a presidential forum hosted by the International Association of Firefighters, but he didn't attend, citing a scheduling conflict. President of the New York State Professional Firefighters Association says Giuliani shouldn't have been invited.
We're very happy about our scheduling conflict.
Immediately following September 11th, Giuliani's relationship with firefighters seemed good.
Great job. Within 12 hours. Great job.
But on November 2nd, 2001, he called firefighters off the pile of rubble at Ground Zero, stopping recovery efforts.
We are just like the Marines or the Army. We don't like to leave our comrades behind, and he did us a great disservice.
Many firefighters also blame Giuliani for faulty radios they say should have worked, but didn't.
We believe that lives were lost because of the failure to communicate on that day, on 9/11.
While many here take issue with the Republican presidential candidate, they say they're disappointed he didn't show up. They say they wanted to hear the former mayor defend his post-9/11 decisions.
We wish he had come so that we could hear him get the story from the horse's mouth.
Giuliani is a front-runner in many recent polls, and analysts say that's largely due to the role he played after 9/11. However, many at today's event say the American voting public hasn't seen what they call the real Giuliani. Reporting for the Politico, Nicole Collins, News Channel 8.
Quote, Giuliani modified his policy after the protests because public opinion was so strongly with our members. Ultimately, he was forced to put the firefighters back on the pile. Our protests were later proven justified as more bodies were ultimately recovered and those families given a chance for closure and a decent burial. It's now 2007 and bones are still discovered all the time at the site. Quote, Giuliani argued that the change was for our own safety, but his argument was empty and without substance. Firefighters had been on that pile since minutes after the Twin Towers fell. Why all of a sudden, after nearly 2 months working on the pile, was Giuliani concerned about firefighter safety? Quote, firefighters have an honor code much like that of the military in that they leave no one behind. Quote, recovering even a piece of a turncoat or helmet gave our fire department brothers and sisters and the families of the fallen some small semblance of peace, something to honor, but hundreds remain entombed in ground zero when Giuliani gave up on them. The fundamental lack of respect that Giuliani showed our fire department members is unforgivable, and that's why he was not invited. Our disdain for him is not about issues or a disputed contract. It is about a visceral, personal affront to the fallen, to our union, and indeed to every one of us who has ever risked our lives by going into a burning building to save lives and property.
Did the cleanup crew remove and preserve every body parts found at ground zero?
Never managed to do that until the end, towards the end. That's when the people protested that we were just loading them in because they were finding most of the parts at the landfill. That's when everything started slowing down. We just loaded trucks full of body parts. For a month and a half, there was no stations. We didn't even know that we loaded because our grapples and the machinery was so big that it just blended in with the pile. We didn't know. The second day I was there, it might have been not the second day, but at least a week when I was there, I had a charred head hit my windshield of my excavator, and I screamed like a woman. Another thing that happened down there that really completely messed me up, and I'm sorry to say, Mayor Giuliani let the families of the cops and the firemen down there for closure. And while we're going through, sifting through all the debris, and we find a Port Authority cop, we have people screaming, "That's my husband," or the kids crying, and the whole deal. And I went to the DDC. Charlie was in charge. I don't know his last name, but he was from the mayor's. It's called disaster control. And I went to Charlie and I said, "You cannot do this to us because we have enough just to bag the bodies. You cannot bring families down here for closure while we're doing this, because it affects us just to do what we're doing." And let me tell you something, if I had to do it all over again, I always told myself I would. Well, I wouldn't.
The mainstream press also assumes gold as the reason for the scoop and dump policy, yet my investigation hints to another cover-up. Giuliani and the city of New York spent $1,000 on individual GPS navigation systems to tag wreckage and ensure its traceable delivery to barges which would expedite the disappearance of meaningful evidence. Never in the history of fire has any steel-structured building lost structural integrity due to flames, and yet on 9/11/2001 we had 3 buildings collapse in perfect synchronous style. Only World Trade Center 1 and 2 were hit by airliners, and yet World Trade Center 7 also collapsed, and still no official answers as to why. One must ask why Giuliani and the city would spend all that money just to tag and trace every piece of wreckage leaving the site, and then go through what seems unnecessary trouble to ship it abroad. The drivers who drove this wreckage out were told not to detour from their destination and not to stop, not even to use the bathroom. Quote, 99% of the drivers were extremely driven to do their jobs, but there were big concerns because the loads consisted of highly sensitive material. One driver, for example, took an extended lunch break of an hour and a half. There was nothing criminal about that, but he was dismissed anyways, end quote.